Hey everybody. I was thinking about all the stuff I was talking about yesterday with the files and everything. And like I've been saying in the other video, like what now? Like what to do with this information? And I think like a reaction would almost be like you know, I don't think in like an uprising of the people or anything. It's all just like a cycle that's repeated before. So, like, hypothetically, which this is not going to happen, but even if there was like this, like, uprising or whatever, the powers that be, would probably just be like, oh, hell yeah, now it's time for like some martial law or whatever, lockdown phase two. They would still have the upper hand because of these parameters in place, because that's just how it is. It's like nothing would happen. Let's take it further though. Like even if there was like an overthrowing, there's always going to be that person that steps up, and that entity, that institution, that corporation, whatever, that would fill the void of the person at the podium, or the entity, or this like idea even, of something that we can look to the answer of like, now what? And that's kind of why I think they say there's nothing new under the sun, because this is a learning planet and we are humans. And if there wasn't evil and just like grotesque, like corporate entities, then, how would we learn anything? If we came in onto the planet, like knowing what was up more and knowing our power, we would never have the opportunity for growth. Like all of my biggest lessons have come from extreme adversity, and that's for everyone, right? Like nobody is like, man, I really learned a lot during those great times. It's always during like the trials and tribulations. And we don't know who we are or what we are made of until our backs are against the wall. And what if this unloading can be an opportunity to kind of say, okay, you know, our backs as the collective are up against a wall, now what? Like, what are we going to do? And something really cool, a cool way to think about it, at least it gives me kind of peace of mind. And I think it's a neat way to look at it, is that there wouldn't be such a concerted effort on an international level for generations, multi-generational international level, this huge orchestrated, all these different ways, like shiny trinkets and distractions to keep us from our power. It must mean that we are pretty powerful, because they try their damnedest, damn them, the proverbial man, whatever. They try their damnedest to keep us disempowered and just kind of like, oh, hopeless. And just like the church and the state, like I was talking about yesterday as well, God, as a small child, it never sat right with me that I felt like, simultaneously, that I was like inherently wrong or dirty or messed up or unchosen, unworthy of being chosen, because I wasn't feeling what was expected of me to be felt in this religion. But also it was like I could feel that it was like, don't you ever forget, you're never going to get there. You can never get to where the man is, because this was the Catholic Church. You can never get, not even like the position of the priest, but to have that closeness, that insider's info. It's just constant, like knocking us down, keeping us in our place. And we do it's gone on for so long. And there is such a learning curve, that we really keep ourselves in our places. Oftentimes now we self-censor, we, just don't believe in ourselves to really do much of anything other than just, keep on keeping on, go into doing the same thing our parents did, for better and worse, It's like kids that are born into cycles of, poverty and addiction, teen parenthood, all these horrible cycles. Oftentimes they um, perpetuate that cycle themselves. And, just like the kids of doctors often grow up to be doctors. And, and if we were like from a Hollywood family, we would probably grow up to be in the Hollywood industry. If I was a parent, you'd want to like get your child the foot in the door, even though you'd be like, oh, you have to learn it for yourself. You'd still be giving them that cushion, and, money is a big cushion. It's, but, isn't that kind of comforting? I don't know. I thought about it. I was like, wow, they have really worked hard to keep us at bay, and not from like, oh, revolution, because it's like, what does that even solve? It's just like, the picketing 2020. I'm so grateful for 2020. And that can be, I guess, even like offensive for some people, because it's like, people lost their loved ones. But I'm just grateful for all of it, all the fucking the muck and the mire. It's just really like, you can look back on it and be like, all right, I am more, I'd like to think a little bit more wise, a little bit wiser than I was at that time. When 2020 happened, that was what got me to be like, why am I working at this job that is no longer working for me? I'm going to be poor anyway. I'm already living in poverty with the job. Why not stay home, be a mother to my infant daughter, and do what I want to do, which was write and start a meditation practice and try just to better myself. And even that act felt revolutionary. And that's what I'm saying. We have to, like, the revolution is internal, the savior, it has to come from within us. It's not coming from the outside, even the act of just like picking up a hobby was huge for me. I mentioned it a while back that when I got sober in 2018, 2019, it was a months long process. But even once I fully committed to sobriety and changing my life, and I truly became a different person, and you're a different person when you look back and say, okay, I don't know where I'm going. I don't have all the answers, but I'm not going back there. I heard that once. Like, that's the true measure of change. Like, would you react the same or differently? And if you've changed for the better and would make different decisions, then that's the point. And that point is, it's beautiful, It's like literally living and learning, but, the learning is the life. That's beautiful. But even when I, um, became this new person and began to like love myself and act from like this place of autonomy, there was such a learning curve that I had conditioned myself. I had been conditioned, and then it's like after a while, I guess it was just like, oh, I got it from here. I'll take the reins from here. I'll just beat my own self into submission with thoughts and repetition of like unworthiness and what I can't do. But it took me months, maybe even a year and a half. I mean, it took me like almost 12 months to buy Tom's toothpaste. Toothpaste. Like, almost a year for me to actually say, oh, wait, that's something I want. Why am I like still have a damn tube of toothpaste on a wish list? I can do this. I can answer these questions for myself. Like, who am I? Where do I want to go? So the powers that be, the alchemist, she calls them the powers that were. I love that. Her name is Sarah. She's incredible on YouTube. Her voice is like honey, and she is so wise and soothing. I love that she says the powers that were. I like that a lot. But that's kind of like what I've been thinking about. Two things. Like, they really, tried hard to make sure that we know that we are not as powerful as we are. And that proves that we are that powerful, each and every one of us. But also it's like, okay, the powers that were, the revolution is internal. what we have to be really conscientious of what's going to take that place, because there's a lot of different like iterations of the same old thing. This is not anything new. And even now, like so much of pop culture and the zeitgeist is just like kind of business as usual, and people are like, wait, what? All those like sick tweets that like Chrissy Teigen deleted, like why would you joke about that? That's not irreverent. If anybody made hundreds or thousands of tweets or comments about joking about slavery or lynching, I mean, you wouldn't be like, oh, that cracker jack, look how zany she is. You'd be like, oh wow, maybe you're an actual bigot, maybe you're an actual piece of shit. So it's not cute, and I fucking love weird shit, but it's I don't know, it's just not, it's not a cute look. And it's like, oh well, I'm a mother, I would never. And it's like, well, I don't fucking know you. Would you not? Then maybe you should shut the fuck up and quit joking about it. That's disgusting. That's sick. So with that said, what now, right? Like, they're going to, like, everything is going to keep on spinning, keep on turning. And we really have to, I think, just make sure that we're going inward, and not to our egos, but like from a heart-based perspective, like a battle-tested heart-based perspective. And what's crazy too is, like, a side note, like triggers. Dr. Mate talks a lot about triggers, and I love that because triggers tell us about ourselves, and all of these little tricks to be like, who am I? Let me answer that. Let me find out about myself. And a trigger, what like really gets you in a way, in the feels, that's like a reflection of something about yourself. And what was her name? That child bride that the actor from The Green Mile married when she was like 16, Courtney Stodden. That was one of the many really, really nasty tweets that Chrissy Teigen wrote about her. Like, oh, take a dirt nap or whatever, like harassing her as she was a teenager. She was a child bride, and Chrissy Teigen was clearly triggered by that. And I think it's because, she's a professional housewife. She's a professional wife, and she made that decision, and that's like the path that she chose. And to see someone else who, did they really choose that? Even if your parents sign off, and even if like your husband's not, the worst of the worst, there's still such an imbalance. And with like which like a 40 something man and like a 16-year old, there is such a power imbalance that it cannot be. I don't think there's any way to consent truly in your heart when you're that age. I do not. And we all have to like do the best that we can and go from there and be our own saviors, and that kind of ruffles feathers too with religious people, because that's what we're taught, like, oh, any day now we have to live in accordance with like this second coming. But I really believe that the second coming is us, like, just doing our best and waking up to what we can do, what we can potentially do, and just like shooting for the stars. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. There's sometimes I'll make a video and not post it. And so, like with the Chrissy Teigen thing, I was thinking about that like last week, but I don't actually know if I posted it. I'm sorry if I did repeat. But triggers from other people. Britney Spears, that's another one we can learn from her. She went on a rant, and she's someone who's been victimized, but we've all been victimized. That's no excuse. If you are an adult who have sound mind, we all have traumas, and we've all been victimized, but it's up to us to not continue to perpetually allow ourselves to be a victim. Then it's weird. It's like you're a victim and you're also like a perpetrator of your, victimizing yourself, keeping yourself down. Britney Spears said, like, she went on this rant about not doing shows in America or whatever, not really liking America and wanting to leave. And she mentioned a couple places. And then she was like, oh, yeah, this place is really nice. You know, but, I can't go there now. I can't go there now. And I'm like, yeah, you can. You can, Brittany. You can. If you're so unhappy, same thing with Justin Bieber. These people, you have been used and abused in the past. And honestly, who hasn't? Many of us have. But we can do better now. You can do things, and money affords you a hell of a lot of opportunities. If you want to go live your best anonymous life and fucking paint pictures and, you know, do Jungian psychology on a beach somewhere. That's one of my goals. In a pepper bra, that I'd be there like tomorrow if I had the means. Money affords you a lot, but it doesn't matter if you have all the money or all the adoration or all the whatever if it doesn't come from yourself. If you don't believe it, it's like nothing. Because you can't do anything with it. So, like, in conclusion, the darkest days are the biggest opportunities for growth. We just have to learn from them and actually use them and look back and say thank you for that lesson. I lived through it. That's a blessing. Be your own saviors. Don't fall for these fucking snake oil charlatans anymore. And know your triggers, and fuck these celebrities. Y'all have a good night.